What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and we are here with Rhett. I would say he's my biggest fan. He's the only person in the entire world that has any of my merchandise. He just took first place at the Kentucky Regional. What did you play?
I played Fusion, Pile, Tearlaments.
All right. Do you have any shout outs? Do you want to hold those to the end? What do you want to do?
Huge shout out to my sponsor and the whole team at TearOneGaming and my entire locals at Knighthood Locals. Uh, and Jeremy, Brad, Mike specifically, all for being a huge help, and even shout out you because you helped me get meta into this game.
All right. Awesome. Let's go ahead and show them your list.
All right, it's a bit spicy. I'll warn you guys. Anyone who's not really like into hot food, they might want to step back a little bit. But right now we have 3 copies of Tearlament Siren. The really good special summon. If you have it in hand, you can discard a monster for effect and mill 3 cards, so it procs stuff in hand as well. Love seeing this card. I did see it every game. Loved it. Uh, 3 copies of Tearlament's Rely, or however you say this name. In my opinion, it's the best normal summon because I'm playing a lot of stuff that I'd rather see in graveyard, and I just feel like Reno Heart didn't really do enough by just making Kit Kalos, so I decided to up this and cut that instead. Uh, it's also a level 2 Agua, which surprise might come up later in the video. Uh, Next, 3 copies of the best hand trap in the deck. Tearlament Havens. This says special summon mill 3 cards, play on your opponent's turn. Uh, I'd like to say that it's very unlikely, but I did turn 0 window like 7 people, so apparently is not unlikely enough to just be really good. Uh, then 2 copies of Tearlament's Reno Heart. It's a water warrior, and it's really strong, especially in top deck war and grind games. But turn 0, I just found myself not liking it, and I always had access to it when I needed it, or I always could find it in the mill when I needed it. So I decided to cut it down to 2, so I wouldn't brick on it.
So, really quick, I know that a lot of people are just maxing out on the tier limit names, playing three of everything. You never missed the third Rhino Heart at all?
Uh, See, the Rhino Heart is never gone. It's never truly gone. Once you have one in rotation, which with 3 prosperities and field spells, it's always in rotation. But once it's in the rotation, it's always in rotation. I just never feel like I missed it. And something in the extra deck just kept returning it to hand too. So once I got one, even if I didn't have to open it, it always finds its way into the hand or field or graveyard. How it happens doesn't matter, but I never wanted to go first and start my plays off with this, and especially going second. This was probably the worst normal summon into an already established board because you do really need this card, but it's just not the normal summon you should rely on. So that's why I cut it down to 2.
All right, let's go ahead and keep going then.
From Spice, 3 copies of Swap Frog and 1 copies of Dupe Frog. After watching just Spright combo and combo with these cards, I was like, I want to play Spright too, but I don't really want to play Spright. And this engine was just so strong because it kept bringing recurable bodies back, and it kind of reminded me a lot of P.K. What a sexy deck that is. And some combos that I felt like I really liked was having this in hand and special summoning by pitching this to just keep going. Because even after I don't normal summon it, even putting it in grave can still help make fusion monsters because it's on screen graveyard. It's still a tier limit card, so it is helpful for names. And this is a body. And the head judge at that event, I asked a question, and this never came up for me, but I asked a ruling: what happens if you use the conditional summon of this to summon this out? And the head judge ruled it that if you did that, you got to proc Reno Heart's effect. And while I never got to do that, that is how he ruled it, which I would have loved to have attempted.
Interesting, because Rhino Heart says it has to be sent by card effect, right?
Yep, and that's a summoning condition.
Yeah,
I didn't think
it's
it worked like
it's
that, but
yeah. I know this from my old Mermail days because you weren't able to get the effects of any of the Atlanteans pitching off of that because or you could because they have to be sent to activate, and or I'm getting confused here. You can't because it doesn't activate, even though it is a cost. So yeah, since it's the cost of the card, you can't get the Rhino Heart. So it's interesting that he would have judged it that way.
I asked him before the event just in case it came up, and he said that that's how it was ruled. It never came up, but I thought that was funny.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
Next, for some engines that make this a fusion pile, 1 Squamata and 1 Beast. Uh, Basically, if you get either one of those in hand or graveyard and get them to graveyard, it makes a Winda. It also helps you go hand neutral, because if you have this one, you send this to graveyard for a card effect, like by the effect of like Siren, it sends this, then draws a card. So it does help hand fix a little bit. And then one Aluber and one Tragedy. It pretty much is the same thing, like from a fundamental standpoint. These are searchers of these whenever these things are used. And both of these just help get a card to hand that's useful, whether it's a draw or it's a branded spell or trap. And they both give me access to really good boss monsters in the extra deck that no one liked playing against. Uh, and then the best hand trap in the game, Driver. Amazing card, love to see it. Won games with this. I wished I was joking. Ghibli locked, so I normal summoned this to get out of it.
I think it cut out for a second, but you said you got Ibly locked and you just tributed the Ibly.
I just tributed the Ibly to summon out Driver. Beat over something. I was like, the whole time I was watching him play, and I was like, oh, I'm dead here. Tribute summon, battle phase, beat over Toad.
That's
I was like,
hilarious.
oh, that works. And then, of course, the bricks for the goal of running Driver. You know, if you want the one good trap, you have to play the 3 bad ones.
Oh,
3
absolutely.
Siphon your Gamma. A lot of people were surprised I was playing this, and not a lot of. I don't think a lot of Tearlament players are playing this, and it surprises me because uh, effect activates in hand can be ashed. Activates in hand can be ashed. All the graveyard effects can activate when you have no cards on field, and so like Gamma just was a crutch. It felt like sometimes, and even going second too, uh, it just killed my matchups. I played against a Punk player trying to keep that deck alive in Spright format, and I opened up 2 ghost spells, a Gamma and a field spell plus a Shailene, and I just he had the Gizmic play, so I let him do his initial play. He goes into Hulk. He uses Gizmic and Shinobi Ninja instead of going to Baron and going to Hulk, and I gamut that. He's like, oh okay. Come my turn, Bell. I couldn't kill him, but next turn he tried to do it again. Bell. He goes, I guess you're just built different, aren't you? And then 3 cards that I made some personal decisions to play. I played 3 ghost spells instead of 3 ashes. Sorry for the one ugly secret. I ran out of those beautiful golds, but
You're ridiculous,
this
man.
this this hits every deck, and I feel like Ash doesn't hit any one deck like kills it, and neither does Ghost Spell. But where they both hit every deck, like both Ash and Bell hit every deck, this stops DD Crow and Called By, which everyone was like, oh, this is gonna beat my deck. And every time I saw this card, people had DD Crow. Like DD Crow effect, I'm like, oh, that's a shame. And I played so many mirror matches that where I opened up this card and I was just like, well, nope, not getting Kit Kat. That's not how this works. And so I decided to play this over Ash, and I missed Ash, of course, but like these just put in so much work. But that was it for all like monsters and hand traps. I next played 3 copies of the field spell. I can't pronounce this name, and I'm going to attempt to. This is the best part about this effect. It has to be the plus 500 attack, because no one remembered it, and the ability to beat over my opponent's same fusion monster, so my attack was higher, and then the ability to chain block once I get like my second round of fusion monsters in, where they actually really wanted to ash or stuff. I just was like, nope, chain link 3 effect targeting this to destroy it. This card, I was skeptical of it at first. I'm like, it doesn't really do that much, does it? No, I was wrong. This card's insane. Be insane cards. 3 super polymerizations should be banned. This card won me so many games. I even like one game I was like I kind of seemed like I had evenly matched. I was like, okay, effect of super polymerization. He's like, oh wait, elf effect, bring back the spell and trap negate. Got you. Super poly. Uh, discard 1. Got. He's like, oh okay. Super poly. Chain link 2. Oh. Took his whole board apart.
is
I
super
was like, yep.
is super poly not once per turn?
No.
Jesus. Okay. I don't know why. I just kind of figured it would have been.
No, no. No, of course not. Speaking of not once per turn, 3 Dark Ruler No Mores. I didn't see this in any opening hand. This card is insane. I would have loved to, but I did not see it in the opening hand, nor in any top deck scenario. But fundamentally, like, it should work, but it just never, I never saw it. 3 Pot of Prosperities. I want to make my 41 card deck a 38 card deck. And the extra deck is, well, it's tight. It also is forgiving, so you can banish 3 really easily. Just to dig 3 down is really good. And then some spice, instant fusion, branded in red, and meta noise.
You didn't want to play the other trap, the Sullik or whatever, the effect negate.
I understand that sending a card on the field is great to pock their effects. However, any matchup this deck needs to, has a trouble with, Book of Moon kills it way better than an Infinite Impermanence does. Like, one Imperm that Fusion summons, if you don't already have a set up graveyard, is just kind of like meh. Whereas a Book of Moon can legitimately be turned into a Spright player. If they normal summon out a blue, you kind of know they're on like desperate. So like the ability to Book a Moon that is just way better than the ability to Infinite Impermanence 1 card.
All right, fair enough. You said that was 41 cards in the main.
Yeah, 41 cards in the main. I had to make room for the best boy, so it was 40 cards. I took out Ash and put in the best boy, 41. This right here, branded in red and no other branded fusions, was, I wanted to play Guardian Chimera and I was by God gonna do it, and I'm so glad I did. It won me 2 matches. Game 1, I had branded in red and I milled Despian Tragedy. Tragedy effect at a Luber. And then I went normal summon a Luber. They're like Imperm. I was like, hold on. I normal summoned out a Luber, and they not Infinite Permanence. They tried to I forgot what that card was. They tried to get rid of it. They tried to get it off the board because I already had a Siren who was a level 4. I was trying to get it off the board. Branded in red.
Okay.
And then Instant Fusion is the 1 card combo for the deck. It's insane. They should bring it back to 3 too.
I trust me, I wish they would, but I very highly doubt it.
If you watch the Kali Effects video, last banlist prediction, he said that it would come back to 3, and I really wish he was right. And then for some spicy extra deck, I played 2 Shadal Windows. I think 2 is the best number for this card because everyone can out a window. It seems like everyone stops exactly 1 window, but it's really hard for decks to out 2 windows. And my deck just builds windows like it's trying to. If you see 1 Shadal monster, you easily make 2 windows in a turn. That gets really hard for people to out. Guardian Chimera and Masquerade, and then 2 Predaplants Dracostapelias. I had a little reasoning behind this. 2 spots for my Shadal engine, 2 spots for my branded engine, and 2 spots to help make my Tearlament engine keep going. And I think every one of these cards individually won me so much. Masquerade, just because Game 3 is a problem and time rolls suck. Guardian Chimera, because I hate back row decks and I played one too many back row decks. Dracostapelia level modulation was just insanely good. I mean, his effect to negate is pretty good too, but like the fact that he made level 1s even after he was off the board, they were just so clutch.
Oh yeah, they normal summon any level 2, and Spright combo just gets turned off. It's now level 1.
Nope, you are playing Relinquish Anima or you're not getting this off the field. And then something I thought was a little bit weird, but I decided to test this out, and it turns out to play great. I played 1 Kaleido Heart and only 1 Kit Kalos. In my mind, I was like, this is just so recyclable that 2 just kind of felt like it ate up extra deck space. And if anyone knew I was playing just 1 of those, this would have been DD crowed so quickly, but everyone assumes I played 2. And I only played at 1, and I just keep recycling it, playing the Dracostapelias or even some of the super poly targets. I'd make those before going into this and be like, oh, I want the targeting protection, so no one knew that I was only playing 1 of them. And individually, these both, like, this card is just so insane for the deck. This card says mill 5 cards, Rhoda or Foolish Burial. It's insane. And then Kaleido Heart is just like the ultimate grind game boss monster. I remember I got to only like 3 grind games. In each of those 3 grind games, as soon as I was like, oh, it's turn 3 already, Kaleido Heart, game it, win. Because the mixture between this and the field spell just keep having me win the game. I would use fusion summons to make like small monsters, destroy my own Kaleido Heart bring itself back, spin something that I couldn't out. It was insane. Then super poly targets with Garura and Mud Dragon. Everyone forgot this did double battle damage, and I was like, oh, with a field spell up, it's a 2,000 attack, so it swings for 4,000. My opponent already paid 1,000 for instant fusion, and I managed to get these two out and clear his board. I was like, battle phase, and he calculated. He's like, okay. I was like, 4,000. He's like, wait, what? I was like, yep.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And then this is probably my favorite part of the extra deck here, and I think this was the reason my deck did better than a lot of Tearlaments decks did at that event. But one time 3 Freedoer, nothing special. One totally awesome. One Spright Elf. One Dahark. And one Borrelsword Dragon. These two cards were just crazy when it came to OTKing. While I never actually got to declare an attack with Borrelsword Dragon, as soon as they saw that, they're like, "Oh, I'm dead," and they all just instantly scooped. Like I was like, "Okay, I'll link this away to Borrelsword Dragon. Next game, okay." Like even the game twos where I OTK'd, they just like, saw me make this. They didn't let me attack. They're just like, "Okay, yeah, good luck, good game, man." But every time I made it, it was usually with a Masquerade where they had a monster on field. So I would have like, usually it was Shadal Winda in this to go into this, steal their DD Crow or something, bring this back, Borrelsword Dragon, and then I have like one monster on field. He attacks, deals 3,000, attacks, deals whatever, attacks for a lot, and then yeah, by putting this in defense position, and it was an OT King machine. I loved it. I wouldn't play Access Code or any other kind of beat stick with it because this just worked out way too well.
Yeah, that does seem pretty good.
Time 3 Redoer, in my old previous builds when I played Branded, I never made it as often, but this card ripped Called by off my opponent's deck 3 different games, and I was just like, what are the odds? I'm gonna draw a card off the turn ender.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I was like, oh yeah, I'll make a window off this, but I'll also draw. And then a Spright Elf and Totally Awesome. Something fun about this deck that I didn't realize till I was actually building this deck is that Totally Awesome plus Merlai makes Totally Awesome. So Swap Frog plus this, but this also makes Spright Elf. So I can link this away for Spright Elf. If I'm like on an inboard, like I drew absolutely nothing, I got to get a special summon off and a normal summon of this, and just like stopped all of it. Took 3 hand traps to do it. You know, I just link these 2 off to Spright Elf, then use Spright Elf effect to bring this back, mill 3 cards again. We're gonna keep going, and they're just like, oh, okay. But what I loved the most was seeing that people saw that I just had like a Rodent Totem on field, and I had this on field. They're like, okay, do you anything here? They're like, no, you're fine. Totally awesome. They're like, oh, you can do that? Like, yep, I can do that. I'd see my opponents are holding onto hand traps and stuff. I was just like, no, give those to me. They're mine now.
Yeah, I mean she's an Aqua. That's all you need for Toad.
Yeah, but speaking of Toad, Toad has this really awesome line of text. Let's see. Once per turn, when your opponent activates it, yeah, no, you don't worry about that. You can send one Aqua monster from your hand or face up field. Send one Aqua monster from hand or face up field. So he doesn't have to get rid of himself. He just gets rid of pretty much my entire archetype. I mean, its cost doesn't really proc their effects. Detroit, take it. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one water monster in your graveyard and add it to hand.
Yeah.
So like, let's say we negate this. They're like, oh yeah, Toad effect, targeting Rhino Heart. Oh, so now I have 1 card in hand. A graveyard that has 3 Aquas. Normal summon out, affect the Foolish, shuffle these 2 back, make Kaleido Heart. Let's keep going.
Yeah, no, that's pretty insane actually.
And I didn't see it before, but I'm so glad I saw it later. And it's just it put in overwork. Like that this engine alone may have been 4 cards and 1 card in the extra deck, but it carried all of my games. I played 2 mirror matches. One was playing Punk and one was playing Branded. And as impossible as it sounds to say, the Punk engine was just not fast enough to keep up with this deck.
Yeah, I mean, I just put out a Punk variant of this deck the other day, and saying that's not fast enough is kind of insane.
Like I know it's a bold claim, but like the 2-0 spoke for itself.
Fair enough. Did you want to
And
show your side deck, or?
yeah, I want to show my side deck in the hopes that more tournament players see it and realize that they could be doing so many more douchey things to their opponent to make their games more favorable.
All right, let's see what it
Uh,
is.
3 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Uh, yeah, I play 2 of the most important cards in my extra deck for the 2 best decks. So if I go second to a game that's a mirror match or a Spright deck, you can have your Toad. But I'm Spright Elfing. I'm getting rid of all your Spright Elves. I'm getting rid of Kit Kalos. While I'm at it, let's look at that extra deck too. See what goodies we have. Uh, and it happened. It only happened twice. I don't want to like hype this card up too much, but it only needed to happen twice. Where I played against Spright, and I was just like, okay, they normal summoned out Swap Frog effect. I was like, yeah, sure. Cherries reveal Spright Elf. Thank you. And this card just put in so much work that it was insane. 3 Lightning Storms. I tested out Galaxy Cyclones and I hated it. It was not fast enough. It wasn't like it didn't do enough to justify it, so I cut it for these. And then 2 Dark Holes. A lot of people laughed when I told them I was playing Dark Hole. A lot of people laughed, but it, it was insane. I got taken by Toad once, so like the spy player took it and set it, and now and he come back his turn. He's like, oh, this doesn't do anything against you. Um,
Yeah, because I mean, if he dark holes you, you're getting all your Tearlament effects if they're on field.
and he's losing his like last couple of monsters. I also consider it as an out to Mystic Mine because it destroys all monsters on the field. So I also played that a little bit because it was an out to Mystic Mine, but mostly because this happened every time I saw it. This happened. It was normal summon effect, Ash, Dark Hole. Let's put this to graveyard effect.
Yeah, I mean, sounds pretty good.
I, they're like, there's no way you're playing that card. That card's trash. Uh, but some like real spice, like some real good stuff for the deck. 3 copies of Mistaken Arrest. It says neither player can add cards to their main deck to their hand, except for by drawing them. And I have Shaddoll Beast. The only cards I really have that add from main deck to hand are the Field Spell and the Pot of Prosperity. And I don't really need those to win a game. They're really good going first, like upon first activation. But like once I do that, I can Mistaken Arrest all day, and it hurts my opponents way more than it hurts me. This single-handedly kills Spright. If they have just like a Swat Frog or just like a Deep Sea Diva in hand, yeah, you can make your 2 bodies, but you're not going to use the effect of blue or Spite Jet this turn. And if there was any Flandreese players sticking their heads out, you just Mistaken Arrest on my turn, and they can't search and play on my turn.
Yeah, no,
Easy eliminate every time.
as a flu player, if you mistaken arrest me, I'd probably just scoop.
You did like this Spice at Nats, when we were playtesting, I was like, okay, Mistaken Arrest. You're like, oh, I don't like that card. Uh, and then something else that I don't really see a lot of other Tearlaments playing, but the extra deck is all different kinds of types, and no other meta deck can play around this. Spright rather has to immediately search Smashers and get rid of this ASAP, or they're just like, oh, pass. They're 1 Spite and 1 Agua can't really make anything else. They can make a rank 2, attempt to go into Zeus, but they start with a starter. They can't. They start off using Spite starter. They can't do that. And it's really hard to out for most decks to play through. And then 1 Tearlament Crime. It's the counter trap that it's a better judgment because it also gates effects, and as long as you control Tearlament's monster. And I was tired of getting evenly matched in this deck. Like evenly matched is the best out to this deck. I have found out because every one of my opponents has opened up evenly matched. So I put this in my side deck to kind of out that. And the one time I actually got to see it and I was actually evenly matched, I didn't actually have a Tearlament monster on the field. I got greedy and made Toad, Redoer, and Dracostapelia, thinking and setting it, thinking I could just. I also have Hopkins in hand, so I was like, yeah, there's no way that this doesn't become live. But he just went Dark Ruler. Oh, battle phase. Oh, evenly matched. Oh, and I still somehow won that game. So I don't know.
Well, there you guys have it. That is going to be the first place Tearlament pile deck, as he's calling it. We already did the shout outs. I'll make sure I link the deck profile that you did on your team's channel as well. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish it up?
Yeah, PK best deck.
Get off that deck, my guy. All right, well, there you guys have it. You know the deal. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends. Maybe consider supporting me on Patreon, because for just $1, you can support the channel in a way that I would never be able to tell you how much I fully appreciate. Make sure you check out his team's channel. Again, it will be linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.